Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
You or Eric Lee Normans?
Yes, sir.
There are four cases here, so hang in there with us. It's going to take a little bit of time. 20-34949 is called the state of Texas. Eric Lee Norman Jr. That's you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Present with your attorney. There are four cases here of these motions, the motion to revoke probation in 34949 and the new indictments, it looks like, in cause numbers 26 CR 350, 351, 352.
Yes, sir.
And we proceed fashion.
Yes, Judge.
Okay. 34949. In summary, this states that on November 2nd, 2022, in this court, you were placed on 10 years deferred or unadjudicated probation for the third degree felony of unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. Is that true, sir?
Yes, sir.
And raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any statement you make during this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Lower your hand. And again, is that true, what I just stated about this prior probation in this case, 10 years deferred
Yes, sir.
probation? All right. One states, number one, allegation states you committed the offense of theft on or about November 4th, 2025 in Jefferson County, Texas, which is a violation of condition one of your deferred or unadjudicated probation orders. And that case is what is part of this new indictment 26 CR 350, the state jail felony of theft. Is all of that true, sir?
Yes, sir.
Are you pleading true to this allegation voluntarily and because it is true as it is alleged?
Yes, sir.
You understand that a voluntarily and knowingly made plea of true to one or more violations of probation, that's enough to grant a motion to revoke probation. Your probation can be revoked in this case.
Yeah.
And you can now be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of the underlying offense of a third degree felony of unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon and sentenced to no less than 2 nor more than 10 years confinement in prison.
Yes, sir.
Knowing all of that, do you insist on pleading true to?
Yes, sir.
I find you are pleading true in the case voluntarily. You are mentally competent to do so. You understand and appreciate the consequences of entering your plea.
Yes, sir.
This is your signature. It looks like a line that goes across.
Yes, sir.
A horizontal.
Yes, sir. I usually sign like
That's
that.
the way you sign.
Yes, sir.
An agreement's been reached where your probation would be revoked. You would be found guilty, sentenced to 6 years in prison for this third degree felony. Is that your understanding of the agreement? And this sentence would run concurrently with these other cases we're about to deal with. Is
Yes,
all
sir.
of that true?
Yes, sir.
If I follow this agreement, 6 years in prison, you have no right of appeal of your case. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Show you what's marked here as States Exhibit 1. Did you sign that document voluntarily
Yes, sir.
in your special signature?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand it, discuss it with your attorney, or the contents all true and correct?
Yes, sir.
States Exhibit 1 is tendered into evidence
objection.
without objection admitted. This states if I follow the agreement, you have no right of appeal. I'm going to do that. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
States Exhibit 1, part of the record for all purposes. Pre-sentence report is waived on this.
Yes, Judge.
I'm going to find, if nothing further, Mr. Norman, you have pleaded true voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently to allegation 1 of this motion to revoke probation filed on January 2nd, 2026, by committing the offense of theft on or about November 4th, 2025 in violation of condition 1 of your probation order, which is don't commit another offense while on probation. That is enough to support this motion to revoke probation by preponderance of the evidence or greater. Your Deferred or unadjudicated probation is hereby revoked because of this violation of probation. Earlier in this case, when we placed you on deferred or unadjudicated probation for 10 years, you had pleaded guilty to the third-degree felony of unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently. There was sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea from State's Exhibit 1 admitted at that hearing to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But we postponed any finding of guilt so long as you followed the conditions of probation. Since you have failed to do that, based upon this hearing now today, your probation is hereby revoked. And I hereby now find you guilty of that previous offense. Once again, I'm reaffirming the earlier finding that there was sufficient evidence support your guilty plea to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I hereby now find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of that earlier case. I am following this agreement. You were hereby sent to confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 6 years to run concurrently with other cases. Do you understand what's happened in this case?
Yes, sir.
All right, we've got these three other cases, cause numbers 26 CR 350, 351, and 352, which are all state jail felony thefts in each of these cases. Are these enhanced by prior convictions?
That's correct.
Is this going to be 6 years?
Yes.
Confinement in
These
prison
are all
for
gonna
these
be-
three state jail felonies?
Yes, sir.
To run concurrently?
Correct.
Okay. Can we take these up together then?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Does the defendant waive formal readings of these indictments and arraignments in these three cases? Can we proceed in summary?
Yes, Judge.
In 26 CR 350, this hereby states that on or about November 4th, 2025 in Jefferson County, Texas, you committed the offense of theft, and it looks like colognes, taking colognes and perfumes. This was of a value of less than $2,500 from looks like Walgreens as the store. You understand what you're charged with?
Yes, sir.
Now, that would be less than a state jail felony, except paragraph 2 goes on to you have 1, 2, 3, 4 prior convictions of thefts out of Hardin County and this criminal district court of Jefferson County, Texas. So paragraphs 1 and 2, because of the prior convictions of thefts, will constitute a state jail felony. Do you understand if that is paragraphs 1 and 2 are found true, reasonable doubt?
Yes, sir.
But it goes on. You have 2 more prior convictions here. In paragraph 3, it is alleged that good. I'm seeing the same date. It was from a court in this court, from a case in this court. It's also on the same date as paragraph 2 prior convictions, but those are different convictions.
Right.
All right.
Well, paragraph 2 would be to make it a state jail.
Well, it's a theft.
Right.
It's a theft. The same one can't be used again,
Correct.
but it's not. It's a different crime. You were convicted of more than one offense on one day here in this court.
Yes, sir.
So paragraph 3 goes on to state that on January 12th, 2018, when you were convicted of theft as well, you were also convicted of burglary of a building, a state jail felony in cause number 13-18271. And in paragraph 4, it goes on to allege that on March 2nd, 2022, in cause number F as in Frank 2251442-W as in William, in the 363rd District Court of Dallas County, Texas, you were convicted of the state jail felony of unlawful possession of fraudulent use or possession of identifying information. So those 2 state jail felonies, along with paragraphs 1 and 2 state jail felony, those 2 prior state jail felonies will mean that in this case, you are facing state jail felony, but you are going to be punished as though it were a 3rd-degree felony because of the prior convictions. which means you are looking at no less than 2 nor more than 10 years confinement in prison, and a fine up to $10,000 can be assessed. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
These aren't, today's kind of like a bar exam. This one is, we've got a lot of complex issues here we're dealing with. So it's a state jail felony, which carries with it generally up to 2 years in the state jail, but because of the prior convictions, you are looking at punishment range as though it were a third degree felony that we discussed.
Judge, in 350, she put down felony seconds. I put 2 to 20, and she should have put a third, and then it'd be 2 to 10. So if you'd like me to change it, I'll change it. Or
No, I'd rather use this pen that never works.
that's why I was going to offer to do it for you, Jeff.
Okay, you're looking at state jail felony punished as though it were third degree felony. So no less than 2 nor more than 10 years confinement in prison, and a fine up to $10,000 can be assessed. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Agreement's been reached where you would be sentenced to 6 years in prison to run concurrently with other cases. Is that your understanding of the agreement?
Yes, sir.
If I follow this, you have no right of appeal of your case. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So how do you plead to paragraph 1? Committing the offense of theft on or about November 4th, 2025 in Jefferson County, Texas, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
So you're pleading guilty voluntarily and because you are guilty.
Yes, sir.
Paragraph 2, which alleges these 4 prior theft convictions previously in other courts. Are those allegations all true and correct as they are alleged? And are you pleading true and correct to that voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And finally, paragraphs 3 and 4, those the burglary of a building state jail conviction in this court in 2018, and the fraudulent use or possession of identifying information, a state jail felony in the 363rd District Court of Dallas County, Texas. In paragraphs 3 and 4, alleging those prior convictions. Are those true and correct?
Yes,
And
sir.
are you pleading true and correct to that voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
All of that turns what would have been a misdemeanor theft
Right.
to a state jail felony in paragraphs 1 and 2 because of the prior convictions of thefts, and punished though as though it were a third degree felony due to the prior convictions in paragraphs 3 and 4, the burglary of a building state jail and the fraudulent use of identifying information. Correct. All of that, you understand?
Yes, sir.
And the agreement is that you would be sentenced to 6 years in prison. If I follow that, you have no right of appeal of your case. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 1. Did you sign that document voluntarily, understand it, discuss it with your attorney? Are the contents all true and correct?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 1 tendered into evidence?
No, sir.
Without objection admitted. This states you are mentally competent to enter your guilty plea. It's freely and voluntarily made. You know what you've been charged with. The indictment's been read to you, read it. You are guilty of the crime charged and any lesser included offenses. You are giving up your rights to a jury trial and the rights to the appearance, confrontation, cross-examination of witnesses. Totally satisfied with the representation provided by your lawyer. All of this is true, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 1 is made a part of the record for all purposes. Pre-sentence reports waived in this.
Yes, Judge.
I'm going to follow this agreement and find you're pleading guilty and true to paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 of this indictment. Voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently. This constitutes a state jail felony based upon paragraphs 1 and 2 of the indictment, and punishment as a third degree felony based upon paragraphs 3 and 4 of those prior convictions. There is sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea from State's Exhibit 1 admitted here to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I now find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of this offense. I am following this agreement. You are hereby sentenced to a confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 6 years. This, though, for the record, is a state jail felony, but it is punished as though it were a third degree felony because of all the prior convictions from paragraphs 2, 3, and 4 of the indictment. Do you understand what has happened today, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there are two other cases, 26 CR 351 and 26 CR 352. I think we're going to go quicker now that these two cases will be handled similarly to the preceding case, 350. Does the defendant, and can we collectively do these
Yes.
together? And Kezi waive formal readings of the indictments and arraignments, we can proceed in summary.
Yes, Judge.
In these two cases, Mr. Norman and 26-351 and 26 CR 352, these in paragraph 1 in each case similarly allege thefts. In 351, on or about November 22nd, 2025 in Jefferson County, Texas, you committed the offense of theft. And in 352, on or about November 14th, 2025 in Jefferson County, Texas, you committed the offense of theft. Do you understand what you're charged with in each case?
Yes, sir.
In each case, paragraph 2 goes on to allege that you have four prior convictions of thefts. April 30th, 2014, County, Texas. September 30th, 2016, in this criminal district court. Thefts, 2018, January 12th, 2018, this criminal district court. Theft, and finally, January 12th, 2018, this criminal district court theft. Those are 4 thefts, 2 or more in that paragraph, then constitute paragraphs 1 and 2 to be a state jail felony. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And finally, paragraphs 3 and 4 similarly allege that you have a prior state jail conviction of burglary of a building, January 12th, 2018, out of this criminal district court. And finally, in paragraph 4, you also have a conviction of fraudulent use or possession of identifying information, a state jail felony, convicted on or about March 2nd, 2022, in the 363rd District Court of Dallas County, Texas. And thus, this state jail felony in paragraphs 1 and 2 then becomes punished, though, as though it were a third-degree felony because of paragraphs 3 and 4. So, do you understand what you're charged with in each of these two cases?
Yes, sir.
And what the punishment ranges are?
Yes, sir.
Similar. They're similar.
Yes, sir.
In each of these cases, you understand the similar punishment ranges of no less than 2 nor more than 10 years confinement in prison and a fine up to $10,000, even though it's a state jail felony. Because of the prior convictions, it's punished as though it were a third-degree felony. And the agreement is that you would be pleading guilty, sentenced to 6 years imprisonment on each case to run concurrently with other cases. Is that your understanding of the plan?
Yes, sir.
If I follow all of this, you have no right of appeal in each of your cases. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So how do you plead in each of these cases? In paragraphs 1, 2, 3, and 4, guilty and true respectively
Yes,
to
sir.
those allegations? Are you pleading guilty and true in each of these cases to all 4 paragraphs, sets of paragraphs in the indictment voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently, and because those allegations are true as they are alleged?
Yes, sir.
And finally, in 26 CR 351, I want to make sure that the record shows that you were pleading guilty in each of these 4 and true respectively in each of these 4 paragraphs, which similarly as the prior cases allege a theft in paragraph 1 and 2 or more prior theft convictions in paragraph 2, thus turning paragraphs 1 and 2 into a state jail felony. Is all of that true and correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
And then paragraphs 3 and 4 constitute prior convictions of state jail felonies. And those turn that state jail felony because of the prior convictions in paragraphs 3 and 4 to punishment as though it were a third-degree felony. So again, it's a state jail felony in the books, but punished as though it were a third-degree felony. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So have you plead in paragraph 1 to that theft, guilty or not guilty, on or about November 22nd, 2025 in Jefferson County, Texas?
Guilty.
You're pleading guilty voluntarily and because you are guilty.
Yes, sir.
Paragraph 2, those prior convictions that we had talked about from Hardin County and then this criminal district court for convictions of theft, is that true and correct as it is alleged?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading true and correct to that voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
Then that would make paragraphs 1 and 2 a state jail felony. But these prior convictions of a burglary out of this court and that fraudulent use and possession of identifying information out of Dallas County, those prior convictions, are those true and correct as they are alleged?
Yes, sir.
And you're pleading true and correct to that voluntarily.
Yes, sir.
Thus, your punishment range because of that then gets bumped up from a state jail felony to third-degree felony punishment. I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 1 in this case. I'm going to ask you, did you sign that document voluntarily, understand it, discuss it with your attorney, or the contents all true and correct?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 1 tendered into evidence without objection. Again, this states in all of these cases, you are mentally competent to enter your guilty pleas. They're freely and voluntarily made. You know what you've been charged with. The indictments have been read, or you've read them, or they've been read to you. You were guilty of the crimes charged in any lesser included offenses. You were giving up your rights to a jury trial and the rights to the appearance, confrontation, cross-examination of witnesses, totally satisfied with the representation provided by your attorney in all of these cases, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 1, part of the record for all purposes. Pre-sentence report waived in all of these cases.
Yes, Judge.
All right, I'm going to find in 351 and 352, these two cases, you have pleaded guilty to paragraphs 1, 2, 3, and 4. And pleaded guilty in paragraph 1 and true to paragraphs 2, 3, and 4. You are doing that voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently. That is enough to grant this motion. That is enough to find you guilty in each of these indictments beyond a reasonable doubt. But paragraphs 1, a state, which is theft, and paragraph 2 together, I find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And that constitutes a state jail felony of theft. And in each of these cases, paragraphs 3 and 4 are proven true. Those are prior convictions of thefts, which bumps the punishment range of the state jail felony. It's a state jail felony, but it's punished as though it were a third-degree felony, up to 10 years imprisonment. I find you guilty of this state jail felony in each case. I'm sentencing you under this agreement to confinement in the Institutional Division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 6 years. And all of these cases shall run concurrently. Do you understand what has happened in these 4 matters, sir?
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
No,
That is all. Thank you.
Well, he sent 100 texts to try and woo a gal. Judge Grandpa looked down and said, now listen to me, pal. Your taste is poor and quite absurd. You bother her all day. You need a massive timeout, son, so put that phone on delay. That's no way to treat a lady. You're gonna get sent away.